welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and everybody in between. Today's a sports show, and you are tuning into that sports show again from a remote location. Sir Mellow Star Wars guys around in the car because again didn't have enough time last night or this morning to record the podcast, so recording it right now. How you doing? How was your day? Got a little interesting show. Got a basketball matchup I want to talk about briefly. I want to talk about the Josh talk surrounding Josh Allen and him being overrated and how he got Dorsey fired apparently. Then I want to give you my power rankings in the NFL and then let's talk a little college football. Sound good? Sound good. Before we get into it, as always, like, rate, share the show wherever you can. What platform you're listening on, make sure to rate it, share it on all platforms, and word of mouth is very, very key. Anybody comes up asking you, yo, I need a sports show to listen to. What do you recommend? You say Jackie's got a sports show. You should tune in to that sports show. Let's start. Let's start off. Well, I want to start off, by the way, a little conversation about movies, about art in general. I was watching Chris Stuckman, which I like Chris Stuckman. If you don't know, he's a YouTuber who does movie reviews. And he was talking about how he was scared of the future of film and basically saying how physical media is dying. People going to the movie theaters doesn't exist anymore, yada, yada, yada. And it really got me thinking. Like, I agree. Like, physical media dying is a bad thing. Streaming services taking over and no more movie theaters is a bad thing. But I hate the discussion because he brought up the Martin Scorsese thing. The, you know, superhero movies are theme park rides, they're not real cinema. And here's my thing I hate the debates that go on between people who enjoy like superhero movies and who don't really enjoy the Scorsese 3 hour character pieces, you know what I mean? Everybody's saying like, oh, y'all just don't want to challenge yourselves, like y'all just don't want to. Yeah, yeah. Some people just want to go to the movies to have a good time. A lot of people don't want to go to the movies and think a lot. And who cares? Who cares? I know people who are into art, people who are so into art that that pisses them off, slap yourself, dude, because not everybody's into art like that. Some people just want to go to the movies and see a movie that makes them feel something and they'll be fine. They don't have to see this long character piece that makes you think about the meaning of life and human nature and whatever. Those are cool and those are good movies, and I'm happy you like those movies, but just because they don't like it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with them. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with the kind of movies they like. And I know Martin Scorsese wasn't talking about that, and Chris Stuckman wasn't talking about that. I'm talking about the Scorsese fanboys that just because someone's not looking too deeply into something they watch means that they're stupid and they're dull and they don't yada 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 yada. Well, that's just not the case. My wife texted me. Hold on, hold on. I love how my Face ID just doesn't work. Um, but yeah, not everybody consumes art the same way you do. Some people just want to feel something, want to escape for a little bit, and that can be an Avengers movie or a movie that you don't see as again this make you think deeply. Not everybody wants that. Same with music. I see a lot of people criticizing people for liking like just fast food music, if you want to say it. It's because yeah, they just want to vibe. They just want to listen to something that gets them happy. Who cares? They don't have to, listen to Pimp a Butterfly front and back and absolutely fall in love with the message, really think deeply about what Kendrick is saying to like music. I don't understand why you have that thought process. Some people just want to feel a vibe. Oh, they're stupid and they're not intellectual enough. You're an idiot. You're an idiot. You're an obnoxious idiot. Because who cares? They just want to catch a vibe. They just want to feel happy for a little bit. or sad, depends on what they're saying, or both, depending on the song, the album, or the movie, or the show. Not like I just hate people who are that obsessed with art. It's where if people aren't consuming art the same exact way they are, and if people aren't consuming the deep, thoughtful art, then they're not really consuming art and they're just stupid. Shut up. God, Lee, dude. Let's get into sports. Let's get off that rant. That's one rant of two that's going to happen today. I want to talk about I don't know why I still have my seatbelt on. Hold on. About to cause a crash in my podcast. Hopefully that didn't make a lot of noise. I want to talk about the 76ers and the Pacers. That's the game I really was interested in last night, the game I watched. Um, the Pacers are so fun to watch. And Tyrese Halliburton, dude. Oh my god, that dude cannot miss. That dude gets hot and that dude stays hot. And this game, well, first to talk about the game, both teams looked like very good teams in the East. Both teams looked very competitive. Joel Embiid was doing his thing. Tyrese Maxey was doing his thing. Tyrese Halliburton was doing his thing. Like there was a lot of players, a lot of great players playing great basketball. You love to see it. And the Pacers eventually pulled it out. And that's what I want to talk about. And that's why I have this anxiety when it comes to covering basketball in quotations. I want to talk about basketball, but it's so much easier. Like when it comes to scouting, I feel like it's easier to scout in basketball than it is football. But in terms of like coverage, it's so much easier to cover football than it is basketball. Because football, there's 17 weeks in a season that the teams play. I guess 18 weeks in total. And from week to week, when someone gets beat or when someone wins, you can see like, oh yeah, no, this is the team they are, yada yada yada. But on in the NBA and in baseball, they can just have an off night that's not the team they really are, and just because they lose that game doesn't mean they're gonna miss the playoffs or their chances are shaky or what. If they like string together a couple losses, then we start having the conversation like the Grizzlies. But in the NBA, a team can lose 2, 3 games, and people will be like, "It's the middle of the season. It's the beginning of the season. Whatever." An NFL team loses 3 games back to back to back to back. That's 4 games. Then it's this team washed. What's going on with this team? But in the NBA, it's like I don't know. It's just down week. Someone's hurt. Bad shooting night. Whatever. They'll be back next week. You know what I'm saying? That's why I guess you can label it like a culture shock to me getting into again quote unquote covering um, basketball. That's just what I wanted to touch on. So let's get right into my Josh Allen rant, and then we'll talk about my power rankings. So the talk around Josh Allen right now is that he's overrated. It's been like that for a little bit. I thought he was overrated when people were saying he's second behind Mahomes, and now people are saying Jalen Hurts is second behind Mahomes. No, no. People are saying, oh, yeah, no, the top two quarterbacks in the league are Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, and it's not a debate. No. Have you watched Jalen Hurts play? Again, I think Jalen Hurts is getting this hype because the Eagles are 8-1. That's it. That's it. Jalen Hurts has not been playing great this season. He's a top 10 quarterback. Don't get me wrong. Top 10 quarterback. But number two behind Patrick Mahomes, and it's not debatable. Are you crazy? You're smoking some. You're smoking some, and I don't want it. But the talk around Josh Allen, overrated, and he got Ken Dorsey fired. And people, you know what people are saying? Why he's overrated? Turnovers. He has 11 turnovers, 14 turnovers in all. He has 11 interceptions, 3 fumbles. You know what he also is? He's fourth in QBR. He's fourth in passing yards. He's third in completion percentage, the best completion percentage of his career, mind you. 10th in yards per game and tied for first in touchdowns. Oh, and by the way, 26 total touchdowns to 14 turnovers. Yes, 14 turnovers is not good. 14 turnovers is not a good number, but he is almost doubling it in terms of touchdowns. Almost doubling it. I'm the Bills' offense. Ken Dorsey was an obvious downgrade from Brian Dable. Very obvious downgrade from Brian Dable. I'm going to try not to peek the microphone anymore. Obvious downgrade from Brian Dable. And Ken Dorsey, the reason that the Bills were so unsuccessful. Everybody's bringing up their offensive numbers like that helps anything. Yes, they ran a great offense, but the reason it didn't look that great when you watched them was because they couldn't run the football. You know why they couldn't run the football? Because schematically, and I told you all this yesterday, I'm going to tell you again, go watch Brent Coleman's video on this. Schematically, it was the worst run game you have ever seen. From the splits the lineman guy to just the play calling in general. Schematically, set up the run game to fail. That is why Ken Dorsey got fired. Couldn't put together a run game. Everybody's like, well, yeah, Ken Dorsey called the plays that, they fumbled on. Obviously, Ken Dorsey. Should have Ken Dorsey have been fired right after that game? No. Was it Ken Dorsey's fault that James Cook had two fumbles and Gabe Davis dropped a ball that ended in a pick and Josh Allen threw a bad pick? No. Was it Ken Dorsey's fault that this run game was so stagnant? Yes. Yes. Should he have been fired after this season? Yes. In the middle of the season? No. Did Josh Allen get Ken Dorsey fired? No. The reason you believe that is because you are that moron. You are that moron that doesn't want to look into why the Bills are struggling on offense. You just want to say, oh, who's the quarterback? Oh, he threw an interception? Oh, it's his fault. He sucks. It's his fault. It's not the offensive coordinator for not being able to make a run game. It's not the coaching in general. No, it's Josh Allen. He's the quarterback of Bills, so it's his fault. Moron, loser, moronic loser. That's what I gotta say. If you think Josh Allen got Ken Dorsey fired, if you think the Bills' offense is struggling because of Josh Allen, you're an idiot. Are his turnovers good? No, I'll never say that. Are his turnovers part of him? Yeah. Does he double the touchdowns he has? Does he double that from his turnovers? Yes. That's all I got to say about that. Let me know what y'all think about Josh Allen. Twitter, TikTok comments, emails, all that information will be in the description and at the end of the episode. So let's go into my NFL Power Rankings. At first, are the Philadelphia Eagles. And really, the Philadelphia Eagles are truly the Georgia Bulldogs of the NFL. Because the Eagles are ranked number one because of their record. And honestly, when I look at this, it's like the Eagles and the Chiefs are my one and two. That's just because I don't I don't trust any team again. And maybe that's because of the parity of the league. But 1 through 10, I think is the 10 best teams in the league. But I don't trust any of them. I don't know how to feel about that. So let's just go Eagles 8-1. Again, I don't really trust them. I don't really like them, but they keep winning games. They've dominated games. They've looked wild in some of their wins, but you know. Number two is the Chiefs. The Chiefs defense is really leading them. Patrick Mahomes is in MVP conversations, but that's just because the Chiefs hold the one seed in the AFC this season. Number three is the Ravens. They lost to the Browns, divisional game, and they completely choked it. The Lions at number four. The Lions are actually. Is it wild to say I trust the Lions most out of the top five teams that I have? I trust the Detroit Lions the most. That's crazy. Number five, Dallas Cowboys. I think Dak is so overhated. That defense is still good even without Trayvon Diggs. There you go. Number six is the 49ers. They completely demolished the Jaguars, but I don't know how much weight to put into that because they were coming off a bye week. But they have gotten healthier. They still have that defense. If Brock Purdy plays like early season Brock Purdy, last season Brock Purdy, they should be the favorites. Number seven, I have the Browns coming off beating the Ravens, but I'm not pushing them that high. Again, divisional game. Weird stuff happens in a divisional game. Who knows what's going on with Deshaun Watson? I just saw that he probably hurt his shoulder in the second quarter. Still played, which not going to give any credit to unconsensual happy endings. Number eight, I have the Texans, and a lot of people may cock their heads at that. The Texans have a top 20 defense, the top 10 defense, and the top 20 offense. Or I believe it's flipped around. The top 20 defense and a top 10 offense. The Texans are a good team. The Texans are a good team. They have someone who should finish top three in MVP votes. Unfortunately, I don't think he will because he's a rookie in CJ Stroud. I'll just say offensive rookie of the year then. The Texans are a good team. They're very well coached. They have a great offense and they have a good defense. Number nine, I have the Dolphins. They're on a bye week, so I couldn't really drop them. I moved them up because number 10, the Bengals lost, and they didn't look great in the loss. So, and my honorable mentions are the Seahawks, the Steelers, and the Vikings. The Vikings are getting hot. Watch out for the Vikings. I'm telling you, watch out for the Vikings. And I believe they play the Broncos in prime time on a Sunday night. Should be fun. And you'll get to see my full prediction for that tomorrow. So 1 through 10, I have the Eagles, then the Chiefs, then the Ravens, the Lions, then the Cowboys, then the 49ers, then the Browns, then the Texans, then the Dolphins, and then the Bengals, with my honorable mentions being the Seahawks, the Steelers, and the Vikings. A little bit of a shorter episode today, so let's try to stretch out this college football talk. What I want to talk about in college football is obviously the college football playoff rankings that come out at 8 o'clock every Tuesday. Oh man, my first yawn. How you doing? And the big story around this, the big debate, is yeah, Georgia hopped Ohio State. A lot of people saying you punished Ohio State for winning. You could say that, but Georgia and the committee is making sure of this, especially moving Missouri into the top 10. The committee is really making sure that Georgia does not have a weak schedule, which even if Missouri and Ole Miss weren't top 10, in which they're moving them up there to have, again, multiple top 10 wins. Even if Missouri and Ole Miss weren't top 10, they'd still be ranked. So Georgia would have wins over Ole Miss and Missouri and teams like that. Yes, they struggled against Auburn. Yes, they struggled against South Carolina. That was a long time ago. Let's be honest. You'll have known me. I have been on Georgia's ass all season, been on everybody's ass who was like, "Oh no, they're ranked number one because we won the national championship." Georgia's a great team. Georgia's one of the best teams in the country. Tennessee has them this weekend, and my boy BRF Sports, my boy Champ, are a little nervous of that game because if Tennessee's on, they can be a very that's for that's for Friday. Let's not get too into that, but I get why they put Georgia at number one. They really want an SEC team at number one. Yes, it's annoying for the rest of everybody else who sees how fraudulent the SEC is. And I say fraudulent, fraudulent might be a strong word. The SEC is not some big powerhouse that everybody's scared of, like SEC fans want you to believe, so that SEC fans can justify why Alabama and Georgia can go through cupcake schedules and have the excuse, well, they play in the SEC. So Ohio State's number two. I believe Michigan's at three. I think Michigan is honestly the best team in college football. I understand why Ohio State and Georgia are ranked ahead of them because it's scheduled. Michigan has played pretty much nobody outside of Penn State. Yes, they pretty much dominated Penn State all game, and it's the best Michigan team in 20 years, and they have the best defense in the country along with a very good offense. But they haven't beaten anybody, so why should they be ranked above an undefeated Ohio State, undefeated Georgia, who have great teams and have beaten great teams. So I completely get that. And then the big debate that I really want to get into is Florida State at number 4 and Washington at number 5. Both have two ranked wins, but Washington's are better. Washington has looked so much better several times this season, while Florida State has faltered. Yes, Washington has faltered as well, and I think that's where the debate is. A lot of people are saying they can't really see why Florida State is ranked above Washington. I can. They have Jordan Travis, great quarterback. They have Keon Coleman, who's going to be a first round pick, who's a great receiver. They have a great defense. They're very well coached. I Mike Norvell, I believe that's the coach's name, has them clicking on all cylinders. Undefeated ACC team. That's a great. Yes, Washington plays in a tougher conference. Yes, Washington is undefeated. Yes, Washington's offense has looked much better. Yes, Washington has a very underrated defense, and Washington has two ranked wins. But you can't just dismiss Florida State's resume. They have wins over LSU, who is you know, who again the committee loves the SEC, so beating an SEC team, especially a top 15 SEC team right now, having a win over them in such a dominating fashion goes a long way. Who's the other ranked team they beat? I think it was Duke. Is Duke still ranked? I believe Duke is like 16th, right? I believe Duke is still ranked and they have a win over Duke. So that's two ranked wins, one of them being SEC. And like I just said, the committee loves the SEC. So if you have a dominating win over one of the top SEC teams, you're going to be ranked higher. I'm not, I've always been, y'all know, I've been a big fan of Washington. I think that they've looked like the best team in the country several times this season. But I'd be lying if I told y'all, if I looked into this camera and said Florida State doesn't have a conversation to be over them. Because they do. Florida State's a great team. Was beating great teams. Yes, they're getting a little bit of that SEC bias love from the committee, sure, but they have similar schedules and they have similar teams. That's all I gotta say. Let me know what y'all think. Tweet at me at jjoster615 or the pod's Twitter, Jackie's Show. That is two S's, one little, one capital. Follow me on TikTok for daily sports takes. Jackie Boy Sports. Email me questions, comments, concerns. Tell me you love me, tell me you hate me, whatever you want to tell me. Old Jackie Boy 1021 at gmail.com. That is OLE at Jackie OLE Jackie Boy 1021 at gmail.com. And as always, please, please, please like, rate, share the show. It'll mean so much. I love doing this. I love y'all. Jackie's got a sports show. You just tuned into that sports show, and I thank you for tuning into that sports show. I'll see y'all tomorrow for the prediction episode. Peace, love,